You have 2 copies of this?
Yeah, well, one has a different cover. Hey, everybody, welcome back. I'm Sal.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Tiffany.
I am so excited to crack open my omnibus of DC versus Marvel because I don't have one of the ones that's in here that we're doing today.
Oh.
I couldn't find it, and it turns out we never owned it. And I was like, how did I never own this? And then I realized why. Because we're talking about Superman meets the Fantastic Four. And back then, 99, I was like, wow, DC's most boring character meets Marvel's most boring family. Wow! Now I'm like, I love this. And in fact, we live in a reality where we're going to get a new Superman movie and a new Fantastic Four movie in the same month. So I thought, why not do the only time these characters have ever met each other? In this 1999 crossover that is well past the DC versus Marvel period, but also well before the JLA Avengers period. So it's just kind of like in this weird nexus point. The only way we can have crossovers, unless we don't want to, is through
Via
access.
Yeah.
It's in his name. So that's a thing. Although I will say that the last DC Marvel crossover of that era was the second Batman Daredevil crossover, and that one had no access in it whatsoever.
So wait,
This just happened for no reason.
They just went no.
I think we talked about this. Who owns Access?
They both do.
So they can
access
both-
is a Marvel and DC.
So they can
ownership.
both be in.
He could be in either book. And in fact, he only ever appeared outside of the DC Marvel crossovers, which includes DC vs. Marvel, the DC vs. Marvel All Access miniseries, and its sequel, Unlimited Access. All of them star Access. But also, because Ron Mars helped create him and was writing Green Lantern, he appears in a Green Lantern comic book.
He's like, hey.
Hey, I'm a real character. I can be anywhere.
He's in the opening page of a Green Lantern book where he's like, hi, and then someone goes, go away, and he leaves.
Go away, Access. Nobody likes you.
Thankfully, Access doesn't appear in this crossover, so it becomes more evergreen as a result.
Right.
But yeah, Access was the thing, and I'm fine with us just not doing that, because we're in a reality also where we're getting new Marvel DC crossovers. They said that it never happened, but it is.
Yep. You were right. There was no reason they couldn't do it.
You,
Yep.
there was no
Sal,
reason.
they will never do that. And here's why.
And I feel confident saying it in writing in the comments
It's
section.
literally impossible for them to do that today.
It is not. It never was. And all it took was the comic book industry falling into entropy. No, it's doing okay, but not so okay they shouldn't do this crossover.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're getting a new DC Marvel crossover. Two of them.
Hooray!
We're getting one from Marvel, one from DC, and who knows? The sky's the limit after that.
Right.
Because the lawyers worked it out. If they worked it out,
Right.
then
They can keep
ride
working it out.
that wave.
Yeah.
You could fill an omnibus of those. Now, that said, this does span multiple decades.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
What must it be like to be an attorney for Marvel and DC? To have gone to school, to have gone to law school, to have worked to pass the bar, and then to be arguing over how Batman and Spider-Man are going to interact with one another.
Oh, I know. Well,
Or it's just like, well, all right, so
Yeah.
our client states that Batman, Bruce Wayne, cannot get one over Spider-Man more than one time.
right. Well, I feel like that is now in the parlance of entertainment law.
Oh, sure.
Vin Diesel v. The Rock.
That's just standard procedure.
That is standard procedure because
Yeah, but they're talking about, like,
they're talking about like.
Yeah, but that's
well,
movies.
a
Doesn't
kick
matter.
is stronger
Yeah.
than a punch, and so in fact, did you know, apropos of the Fast and Furious franchise, that Vin Diesel proposed a D&D structured system by which they could measure the power of each member of the Fast and Furious teams, so that they could just have a quantifiable explanation, and they could pass that off to whoever is writing which script at that time, so we could finally and unequivocally determine who would get one over on the other.
well, you see,
And
this
they just
character,
wrote, no, nerd, go be Groot.
this character over here, they're a glass cannon, right? Like, they can kick really hard, but you can take them down real fast.
Exactly. That's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, their attack is 12 and their defense is 3.
yeah. You know, Diesel was like, whoa, we're going in circles here. I'm sorry.
Right. This
You
is
know,
getting...
This is getting complicated, and it doesn't need to be. Okay?
Because I have a series
already
of
system
charts.
in place.
Right.
And if everybody could just grab their 20-sided die and give me an initiative check or initiative roll, we could get this meeting going. If I was in a meeting and it was determined who was going to be talking based on an initiative roll, I'd be way more invested in the meeting.
That's fair.
Well, then there's like a basis for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, unlike what
this was
presumably
just
is happening where they're
nonsense.
just yelling at each other.
Yeah.
The thing that you're presupposing is that they're even at that stage. No, the DC Marvel crossovers even facilitated who's going to get how much.
Right.
Dependent on how
yes.
much. Oh, no, the creative thing? No, the lawyers aren't even close to that kind of conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't think they even bother. No, that's about who has already predeterminedly gotten more power in whichever crossover we're doing. Like, if Marvel's publishing the crossover, then their characters will presumably be more effective, powerful, smarter than the DC characters.
Well,
But I don't know.
Well, what happens if Marvel writes it that way, but DC
Writes it
didn't
the other
wrote
way.
it more even,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
Marvel's like, yeah, well, my characters win in the books I
Well,
publish.
I'll-
Then DC be like, what the hell?
But then it's already out.
Right.
Yeah, but
already
then they
done
might
it.
not do it again.
But who ensures that
No.
that doesn't happen?
See?
I don't know. I don't know.
There needs to be a series of editors.
This is why.
Well, that's true.
This is why I feel like the lawyers might be involved.
Yeah,
where
the
they might
lawyers
say,
might be like, listen, the Hulk cannot smash Superman.
right.
Right? I don't
Right.
know.
He can punch him one time.
Yeah.
He cannot defeat Superman.
Right.
They have to have equal amount of page time,
Yes.
or panel time. There cannot be more panels featuring Hulk than Superman.
Yeah.
Hulk cannot Loki Superman. See Addendum 5, in which we're referencing Hulk picking up Loki in the MCU and slamming him on the ground.
Right. Oh, you're referencing movies? That's another division of our law firm. So I'm excited to crack this bad boy open for the first time. I had to actually unseal it. Thankfully, I have 2 copies. And so we can jump into...
You have 2 copies of this?
Yeah, well, one has a different cover.
This omnibus has a different cover. There's a
Well-
variant cover for an omnibus?
Yeah.
Ethan, you need to understand how this all went down, in which I learned all about this myself, where Sal had obviously, as soon as this was available for pre-order, he pre-ordered it. But in the time it took them, because there was like some issues with the printing of it, where they like had to throw stuff out or whatever.
Those
and
are the other
start-
ones.
Oh,
there
sorry.
were 2 omnibuses.
Right.
There was
Oh
the
my
DC
God.
versus Marvel omnibus.
Is that the
And
one?
the DC versus Marvel amalgam omnibus.
Yeah, but wasn't there enough time in between that they came up with another cover, and you were like, but I wanted that cover.
The amalgam one is where I wanted the other cover. There was the Dave Gibbons
So then,
cover.
all right. So then I
and the
don't know
Jim Lee cover.
why do you have 2 of these?
Because there's a Jim Lee cover of this as well.
Oh, Jim Lee cover. Jim Lee did a cover.
He did both covers.
Isn't this like $100?
Yeah.
Why didn't you?
It's offensive enough when it's like a $5 book.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like, I gotta spend $5 whole. Well, at least I get a cool piece of art for $5.
Sure.
You paid whatever a glossy cover.
A dust jacket.
A dust jacket.
Yeah.
What's on the inside?
Oh, on the inside is a John Byrne Marvel DC crossover poster from the 80s, which features a depiction of the crossovers that they made from the 70s into the 80s. And what's great about this is this poster features Marvel and DC characters, but it's a connected poster where the DC characters are conveniently on one side and the Marvel characters on the other. But if you put them together, it actually showcases all the Marvel DC crossovers from the Crossover Classics collection.
Now, does the other version have a different cover on the hardcover?
I presume it does not. It's
Well,
also
yeah,
sealed in a
You can't know, yeah.
Yeah,
So you literally paid $110 for a dust jacket.
more or less, yeah. Superman Fantastic Four Infinite Destruction! From Dan Jurgens, with finishes by Art Thibert. I call him Thibert.
Thibert?
I don't know. I've been corrected in every instance.
Right.
And
No matter
I've
what, you're
just
wrong.
thrown up my
Perhaps
hands.
it's Thibert.
This was, by the way, an oversized edition, which was very rare in the new wave of Marvel DC crossovers, which also may account for its rarity and larger cost, but even still.
Excuse me, I am but a humble Marvel Rivals player. I don't understand. Sue Storm doesn't seem to have a giant ass.
No. And she should, because, you know.
Just saying. Like,
It is the 90s, right?
It's,
Yeah.
it's like I don't even recognize her.
I think they're trying to get over the boob window period.
Oh,
So
yeah,
they're
yeah.
trying
It's like
to
a
kind of like...
backlash to the
Well, no,
boob
she just
window.
looks like a person.
Yeah.
Like, and like, not that a person can't have that, but like
Everyone
the
in Marvel
rival
does.
characters are, you know, especially Venom.
Yes, Venom is also caked
Well,
up.
this is just the cover, Tiffany, so let's not get too excited about
That's true. I
what
should
it
probably hang
implies
on.
about what the
That's
characters look like.
Yeah.
But yeah, Superman and the Fantastic Four, 1999. It's in continuity, which whatever that means. But yeah, it happened. And
Well, it means something for Marvel. It doesn't really mean anything for DC.
yeah, I mean DC, you could see. You're like, oh yeah, no, this is firmly in continuity. And Dan Jurgens is also like, well, I'm like all Superman, so I'm making this part of my run. So this shows you the past, and you're like, oh, and there is a planet that has been sapped of life, no longer capable of sustaining it because its life energy has been absorbed. And there is a orb that is surveying the carnage, and you can see that that orb belongs to none other than Galactus. And then the last survivor of this planet fires a rocket into space, implying that Galactus has killed Krypton.
What?
Just out of the gate, you're like, Galactus destroyed Krypton.
What? What?
I know. And it's like, of course, that's the first thing you do. If you're going to cross over the Fantastic Four, then Superman, you're
In continuity?
in continuity, Galactus destroyed Krypton.
That's what is implied by these panels.
That is what this sequence of panels indicates.
Okay.
Move over, Rogolzar.
Yeah, that's right.
Galen was here first.
Yeah, also, yes! Galactus trumps Rogolzar
I know.
Yeah.
in every respect.
Maybe
mean-
that's what it is. Maybe Bendis remembered this and he's like, well, I'll just make my own Galactus named Rogolzar.
Let's not get too presumptuous on whether Galactus really did or did not.
Right.
Because I don't know if anybody at DC is going to want to refer to Galactus at any other point
They're not.
after this, which they will not.
I just feel like I maybe would have instead tied Galactus in with Brainiac, where it's like Brainiac sees Galactus destroying planets.
And then he gets the idea. He's like,
Or
well, what
something
an
like
idiot.
that. I
He's
don't
got to
know.
save at least some part of
Yeah,
it.
or something.
That'd be fun.
or-
That's a great crossover. And I think that if Dan Jurgens wasn't working on this, you would have gotten Brainiac. But I think when we get further into this, you'll understand why they chose this particular Superman villain for this particular crossover. It actually works really well. It's not Doomsday.
Okay.
I also am glad because then Doomsday would have just hauled off and punched Galactus, and he would have like made Doomsday his herald, and now I'm kind of into it.
Maybe in the new crossover, they'll pick Galactus up against Rogolzar.
No, I
And
think
Galactus will just punch him in the face.
I feel like
Be like-
Rogolzar is in the same place as Tempest
Fuginot.
Fuginot
Yeah.
in terms of
Yo, they're gonna be on a team.
oh yeah,
They're gonna be like the
Forgotten.
Forgottens. The Left Behinds.
Yeah, I mean
That's not a bad idea.
That's a great book. Maybe.
Just a one shot.
Yep.
Just a one shot.
And they all die at the
And
end.
then they all die.
and they all die.
Yeah.
Just clean house.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I mean, they already killed.
It'd be like a
Tempest.
Suicide Squad kind of situation.
Yeah.
So Galactus sees this pod fly past him, and he's like, huh, you know what? I kind of want to put a little bit of an investment in that thing. So he makes a sentry drone that he fires after it. So now...
So nothing. He's like, nothing can escape. I don't like that even one life form escaped.
No, it's not that he's going to kill it.
Oh.
I want it to monitor it and let
Just in
me know
case.
when it's ready for me.
Oh.
So he sends it through, and the pod ends up actually going through some kind of like a wormhole.
So is he using it as his herald in a way where it's like
Yeah,
that pod
kind of.
will like
The
find
pod
a
will find it and then tell me all about it, and then
yeah,
I'll
like
go
that
there.
thing's obviously going somewhere.
Yeah.
This doesn't warrant a full herald, but I will send a
Like
autonomous herald after.
exactly.
It's like Vader
does
sending
build
out
it.
a whole bunch of
probes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The probe, yeah.
So it goes through presumably a wormhole, so it's not like it was following Cal the whole damn journey and then just kind of hovers around Earth until Cal's Superman age. This is more like, no, it goes through like a time hole or some crap. So it shows up in Earth's atmosphere now, as opposed to it just following Cal the
Superman
entire
landed,
time.
yeah.
So it then cracks open, fires what looks like a kind of kryptonite blade, and then that goes further and seeks out its destination. And it is also seen by a shadowed figure outside of Earth's atmosphere, hanging onto a
standing-
LexCorp satellite.
Yeah, he's standing on a satellite.
Yeah. So he sees that thing and he's like, oh,
He's got like stringy hair.
yeah.
Oh no.
Who could it be? So he then follows after the, I don't know, kryptonite blade, sentient robot drone thing that Galactus sent after Cal when he was a baby. And you're like, okay. And then he grabs it. And you're like,
Oh, he's got it.
He's got it. What's he going to do to it? Who even is he? Meanwhile, in Metropolis, the local gentry are kind of like, where's the car Georging it up, where they're all talking about how they're all from out of town, and they're all here in Metropolis just to get a glimpse of Superman.
Okay, and they're all in one spot.
Yeah, and they're all in one location.
This is
Well, this
Superman
is
viewing
the
platform.
zone where you stand
Yeah.
and hopefully see Superman.
Look, if Superman were real and you could go to Metropolis, they would have set designated Superman viewing.
Also, it's
areas.
$5.
Like what?
Oh,
That's
Metropolis
100%.
is not a grifter town,
I didn't.
despite LexCorp.
I didn't say Metropolis was doing that, but there's some kid who's just like, I got a better spot over here. $5.
Oh yeah, that's true.
$5.
Yeah.
Yes, under the table. Doesn't have a
Definitely.
license. Yeah.
So anyway, these people are all like, I came here from Wichita. I came here from Alabama. And I'm like, who cares? What? What's happening here? Now, and I understand why. It's because they're all here to catch a glimpse of Superman without that awful haircut. They're like, oh my God, I heard he cut his hair, and I need to see classic
I'm a
Superman.
Superman groupie. I want to be the first one to see him.
That's right. And so Superman appears because these people are all gathered around a bomb that has been placed as a kind of terrorist threat.
Hey
And-
everyone, I'm
bet
in
Superman's gonna show up.
Metropolis, and behind me there's like a big thing or something. I don't know, but I'm here today
Oh my God, we're all gonna die!
to see. Excuse
Oh
me,
my God,
I'm doing
so
a video.
dramatic.
So my God, so there's just a lot happening right now. But I hear Superman's got a new haircut, and we're gonna be the first ones to talk about it.
Yeah, so Superman shows up and everyone's like, oh God, Superman, you're here. What do we got going on here? We just arrived and we're kind of just figuring it out. And he's like, I used my extra vision. We only got 29 seconds left, and I used my heat vision as well, and I fused the circuit, so now it's not going to go off. Also, it's a nuke. And they're like,
What?
They're like, oh, so should we evacuate? And he's like, there's no point. It's a nuke. Like, if
Right,
it goes
there's-
off, you're all going to die.
Right. You can't escape
You
it.
can't escape it. I can't lift all of you. And so they're like, oh crap. And he's like, don't worry, I just fused it. It's fine. And they're like, huh. And then the
They're like,
device.
you're really bad at giving us information. Like,
Well, I give it to you on a need-to-know basis. So then he hears like a clicking on it, like someone, damn it, Superman's there, just set it off. And it's just, he's just hearing the clicking, and they're like, what the hell's that noise? And he's like, that's like a manual override mechanism because someone is observing this, and they're pissed that it's not going off. Anyway, so I'm going to just check it out because I know it's like used by radio signal. So he finds a couple of guys who are responsible for this bomb, and they shoot him with some super science lasers. And he's like, yeah, I melted the receiver. There's nothing you can do. And then he comes in contact with that Galactus green device. And so forget about all that because they're gone. They're not in the story anymore. And I
Oh.
guess, you know what? Like,
they had like a nuke. What?
yeah,
No.
whatever.
Yeah, that happens every day.
Let the bomb squad, let them earn their pay, all right? You know, just use.
Yeah,
I
they're
already
the
did all
bomb
the hard
squad.
parts.
That's not quite. They're not used to dealing with nuclear weapons.
Oh, but this nuke is what? A nuclear bomb. So, you know, get to work. Anyway, so Superman is, you know, he comes in contact with this, and you're like, oh, wait, that's not a knife, that's a crystal. And then it emits a holographic projection of his late father, Jor-El.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, listen, Galactus destroyed Krypton.
Here's a little truth bomb for you.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
forget
Speaking
all
of
the other
bombs-
times I talked to you and
They
told
can't
you about
defuse
stuff.
this bomb.
Yes.
This is the new reality.
This is the new truth.
The new truth.
Yet another retcon for you in this post-crisis world that we live in.
Right.
Is that Galactus destroyed our planet, and I want you to avenge me.
Avenge me!
Avenge me! Disappears.
Hey,
And Superman,
are you still like sexless weirdos?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
You didn't change that.
No,
Okay.
we're still post-crisis
Yeah.
Kryptonians. Yeah, we're weird. Crystal Dad is like, I hope that this message reaches you in time. I sent you with old information. I thought
Oh.
Krypton was destroyed from like natural occurrences, but I have new data, and so I fired that off like right
just
after I sent
found
you
out.
off.
So
Yeah.
I just found out.
I got the
there's
email like just
moments.
after I sent you.
There are
Yeah.
moments.
Yeah. Well, like 2 seconds after the
After I
rocket, I was
fired
like,
it, I was
oh, wait, I just figured it
Oh,
out.
you know what?
Can
Actually,
I
it's
unsend?
Galactus. Yeah. So
I had all the pieces. I'm like Sherlock Holmes, you know?
Right.
Like all the pieces were there, and my brain just hadn't put it together yet. And
Until
I hit the
after I
button,
sent you out.
and the rocket
Okay,
went out,
let-
and I was like, oh.
It's Galactus.
I feel like what
and now I have
happened
2
was.
more seconds before the.
Yeah,
and I'm
I
dead.
said another one. It's more like you sent the rocket. You were looking up, and you're like, oh,
oh, there's a dude.
There's a guy.
oh. You know what? That might actually
that
be
makes
what
more
it is.
sense.
Yeah.
Because like the vague, unspecific natural processes that were causing the planet to blow up, I didn't really know what's going on. Nobody really had an
No,
explanation.
I just kind of threw that in there
Right.
to
Yeah.
figure it out.
It's just a hand wavy, like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
yeah, but like that guy, All right, hang
Yeah,
on.
he's pretty big.
That kind of
Laura,
actually fills
give me-
in a lot of holes in my data.
Give me another one of those crystals, real quick.
Just real quick, I just kaboom. This also begs the question for me, where I'm like, I'm sorry, Galactus. What are you doing bebopping and scatting across the multiverse eating other planets?
Yeah.
So you're much less of a pressing issue than we thought.
No.
You know, Galactus is tooling around the Marvel universe.
There's
eating
only 2
planets.
universes.
Okay.
So
but
it's
there's
only
twice
half
as many planets.
Yeah, it's only half as likely that I would eat your planet as you thought it was
That's
a minute
pretty
ago.
good. You know, because it used to be an inevitability, but now
It still is an inevitability. It'll just
But,
take
like,
twice as long for
that's
me to
fine
get to
by
your
me.
planet on
Listen,
average.
I'll take that.
This isn't really my purview over here, but it's just like sometimes I want something more
sometimes-
exotic.
yeah,
So
right.
right.
go on
I'll take the
vacation.
DC planet.
try one of those.
Like,
I-
sometimes I do that. Like when I went and tried
Well,
to eat
I
Apocalypse,
summer
for
in
example.
DC.
Yeah.
And when I'm there, sometimes I get hungry.
I
That's
usually
fair.
get indigestion.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, it's not my normal food,
Right.
and then I go home.
What other heralds have you had? Is Silver Surfer gonna get jealous of all the other like DC equivalents?
No, I go heraldless when I'm on vacation.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I owe it to myself.
That's why I've got the pods.
Yeah. That's why I use those sentries.
I don't want
Right.
to get Norrin all upset.
Yeah. So Superman is like, holy shit! I need to punch Galactus in the nuts. But first, I gotta call Access. And then we don't see him, and we just presume that he gets what he needs.
Why would he have to call Axis?
Because
Access
Access is the only
controls
way
how
you can
get-
travel between the Marvel and DC universe.
Well, how does he know that he's over there?
Because Superman met Access in DC versus
No.
Marvel
How
All
does he know
Access.
that Galactus is over there?
Oh, because he heard rumblings about Galactus during the crossovers.
Oh.
Galactus, that's a name that Spider-Man told me or something.
There's no way that in the midst of their team up, he was like, oh, by the way, do you guys have any like world-destroying purple guys that like eat your planets?
Yeah, do you have to worry about someone eating your planet?
Yeah, there's
No.
one. What's his name?
in case.
Galactus?
No, he says, I've heard whispers of his existence from the heroes of the other universe.
Oh, so like Spider-Man and Superman were fighting each other, and Spider-Man was just like Galactus.
Galactus. He's like, what was that?
Okay.
Spider-Man has probably only said the name Galactus 3 times in his entire life. So then we go to a very specific period in the Fantastic Four's history where they are not at the Four Freedoms Plaza or the Baxter Building or Yancey Street. They are in a warehouse off the West Side Highway,
Damn.
the Pier 4.
Right.
And so they're living
Yo,
in
if
this...
I were them and I was trying to not tell my villains where I was, maybe I don't have 4.
5.
Yeah, like anything else.
Pier
like
10.
Yeah, like we're in Building C.
Yeah. So they're in Pier 4, and we see that Franklin Richards, that's right, this book has Franklin in it.
No.
And Franklin is watching the fantastic Kids WB Superman animated series.
What?
Because in the Marvel Universe, Superman is a made-up character. Or during the DC versus Marvel shenanigans, someone told Franklin about Superman, and so Franklin unconsciously manifested Superman as a fictitious character in the universe. Who
Either
knows?
one.
Either one. Because also, of course, don't forget that there are other crossovers that are not canon to these crossovers, because those crossovers are not crossovers. Those are stories that happen on a planet where both Marvel and DC coexist.
Right.
And all the
yeah.
respective things happen to them without those other characters, but also then those crossovers happen too. So who knows what happened? I like the idea that Superman exists as a fictional character in the Marvel Universe.
But then isn't it really weird that there's a universe where Marvel's
Yes.
comic book characters are real?
Yes, it should be very weird. It would be like if Snake Plissken was real in our reality, and also there's a movie
It's a
version
Snake
of it.
Plissken universe.
Like just something very. I picked something hyper specific and equally unhelpful.
Right. The Escape universe.
Yes, that one's real.
The Escape-averse.
The Escape-averse is the only other fictitious universe that exists. So anyway, Franklin is like playing with Superman and his action figures, and now I'm thinking, oh my god, because you're seeing.
Because there's Batman there too.
Because yeah, Franklin's got all kinds of action
Yeah.
figures. He's got Superman, Thor, Batman, Daredevil, and I'm like, oh, is Franklin facilitating the crossovers? Is Franklin playing with his action figures actually happening? Like, is that having ripple effects throughout the multiverse? And so he's like, no, I
Sure.
just had Batman and Daredevil crossover. And in fact, is that why their first crossover is an Elseworld story? Because the Batman Daredevil crossover that happened the first time by D.G. Chichester was not actually a canon crossover, but in fact an Elseworld story, which it didn't need to be because it was already an Earth where Batman and Daredevil already exist on the same planet. But never mind that, because the next Daredevil Batman crossover is on that Earth because it has to be.
Because there's no access.
Because no access, and
Right.
Batman and Daredevil are already aware of each
You
other.
are full on Pepe Sylviaing right now.
I'm just saying.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense, but it will. It does if it's Franklin. If it's Franklin,
If it's
it
Franklin.
makes all the sense.
Right.
So
Whoa.
Franklin is like, wow, I know that Superman's only a cartoon show here, but maybe since Mom says that he's real, I could meet him someday. And so Franklin just manifests this crossover into existence. Not really, but also definitely. So anyway, Franklin is like, now that I've got Superman on the brain, I'm going to interrupt my family's Fantastic Four experiments to ask my mom if Superman really, really does exist. And while that's happening, the Thing is doing a big strength test while Johnny is doing an equally useless test with his fire that Reed is forcing them to do to see if they have equal power. Like the idea being, well, you know, we've never really tested our powers, and actually that's not true, I always do. But in this case, could we establish, like, is there
Who's the more powerful?
or
the
are
Thing?
are we
or...
all equally powerful within our own respective power set? Like, is Thing as strong as Johnny is on fire?
Those are two different things.
Yeah,
you
but-
can't compare them.
But what if we could? What if we could detect and measure it? And so we're working on that now.
Which is more fruit, an apple or an orange? We're gonna find out.
Yeah, right. And it's like apple, obviously, because it doesn't have a skin.
But it has a core.
It does have a skin. No, orange you have to peel.
Orange you have to peel.
But you
to
can
remove
eat,
more
you
orange
can
than
eat an
apple.
orange peel.
You can eat a core too.
See, I say an orange is more fruit because it has segments.
Oh.
And the fruitiest fruit has segments.
What, based on
according
what?
to one.
Well, then you are ready for super science because that is the kind of horseshit that they use to quantify their own nonsense.
This is the kind of thing where if you question Reed, he'd be like, "Listen, between the two of us,
Who has 17 degrees from non-existent universities?
shut up."
Also, I can stretch and I can punch you from across the room. So,
Sue's like, "I could just take your air away."
right. I collapsed your lungs.
I foolishly thought that he was going to measure the strength of the Thing and convert it into like joules of energy.
Sure.
And then measure the energy output as heat of Johnny
No.
over some span of time. Like, what is the maximum energy expenditure
Right.
of each character? That is
Yeah.
a universal thing that you can quantify.
Reed's like, "Listen, that's like basic bitch science.
Yeah.
I'm doing super science over here."
Right.
Specifically, he is trying to discern if there's any discernible difference in power levels between each other.
Power level.
Well, I feel like it's pretty hyper specific.
Well, why don't you just get
Like-
their cards and look on the back?
Like if there's a guy who is like
Stretch
impervious to fire but really weak to punching, then Ben's probably gonna have the upper hand.
Well, yeah. What measurement are we?
But what if someone's equally vulnerable to both?
Yeah.
Who would do more damage to that person?
Right? Iceman is weak to fire and punching. But he's an Omega level mutant. But again, he's not a member of the Fantastic Four. He has cosmic born powers.
Right,
So he's
so
on a completely different scale.
That's apples and oranges.
Completely.
The Thing versus Johnny
Johnny.
is like oranges and like those other oranges with the navels.
Naval orange.
Navel oranges.
No one's paying attention to Franklin as per usual,
Yeah.
and he's talking to Uncle Ben, and he's like, "Uncle Ben, you missed Superman." He's like, "Oh man, I missed it. Who was he fighting? Bizarro? Was it Brainiac? Like, come on, maybe some fun villain that should be in this crossover." And he's like, "No." So Reed's like, "Everybody get out of here. I'm trying to get science done."
Excuse me, I hate my family. Why are you here?
Right. He's like, "Sue, could you take the child out of here?" And so Sue takes Franklin out of the room, and
Oh,
Franklin's
hang
like,
on, before you leave, let my arm stretch over there and give you a good pat on the butt.
"Out you go."
That's a good girl.
So Franklin takes the Superman action figure and he leaves the room with his mom, and he asks his mom, like, "Hey, is Superman real?" And I'm like, "Hey, Sue, did you ever meet him? Because I don't remember any scenes where you meet."
She's like, "I saw him and I've never forgotten that specimen of a man."
When? Like, at what point in the DC versus Marvel crossover?
She's like, "I could be
did
invisible. You would never know
she's
if I was
every
there."
page.
I was there. the
Maybe
whole
she
time.
saw him in one of those ridiculous splash pages where they're explaining things and they just put all the superheroes on one page.
yeah.
And she's
That
like,
one.
Who's
Who's that?
is that?
That's Batman.
He's rich.
Yeah.
Oh!
Ooh, so am I.
Is Valeria not?
Valeria is dead. Valeria was still.
Oh.
And then they made a what if comic where they were like, what if she wasn't? And then she's super smart, and then someone went, yeah, no, but what if she wasn't? And then they went, oh, so then we changed reality, and so she was born instead.
Yeah, it would have been more interesting if they had done that. But
And Franklin's like, I
no,
think he does.
no, had it be that Doom did it because he has such a connection with her that he hated the fact that
Yeah, no, Doom does deliver her. Like, she has a complicated birth, and so Doom actually makes sure that she doesn't die. He uses magic and shit to make sure that she that does not happen this time.
Yeah.
And his payment is he gets to name her. And Reed's like, it's like, I'm not gonna name her Doom. You jerk.
I'm not an asshole. I mean, I am,
I
but
am.
not like that.
I am.
And I am Inigo Man. Okay,
I'm not even gonna name her.
yeah,
I'm not even
okay.
gonna name her Victoria.
He says something like, I'm not going to name her like Doomette, all right? Franklin's asking a bunch of specific questions about like Superman because he's already was like, is Superman real? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, can you fly? And it's like, yeah, shut up. So then anyway, Sue notices that the defenses on the facility have been deactivated. And so she's checking it out and she's like, immediately creates a barrier between herself and Franklin. And then Superman appears. And she's like, va-va-voom. So then they bring Superman into the testing room, and they're like, hey, Reed, we're going to need to talk to Superman here. And he's like, oh, shit, Superman, hey. And he's like, hey, listen, Reed, I hear you're really smart. Don't ask me how. And I had this thing
I
here.
can hear across the universe. That's how far my superhero.
I heard the whispers of Galactus and also that you're really smart.
I got to Your Earth, and I
Right.
just started listening to everybody. And after like 20 seconds,
got
I
it.
heard like 50 people talk about Reed Richards
I heard some
being smart.
guy who was real mad talking about how smart you think you are.
Yeah,
and
screaming your name across the other side of the country.
I
but-
figured I'd just come talk to you, I guess.
Yeah.
So he's like, listen, I gotta find Galactus. According to my crystal here, he came to my universe and blew up my planet. And he's like,
That tracks.
I guess that's fair to expect. Why is it glowing? So the crystal like explodes with crackling green energy, and then it blasts into the nearby computer systems, and they're like, "What the hell's that?" And then it deactivates all this crap, and like, thing has been holding up this really heavy thing, and then they like turn off the thing so that it's not doing it. But then because the defenses are turned off, it turns back on. It just drops on him. So like, we gotta help Ben up from this thing that we put on top of him deliberately, and.
We made drama for no reason.
Yeah, and the computer system starts going like, oh, I love this universe and its marvelous toys, and starts making guns out of all their computers and just shooting at them. And Superman immediately steps in front of the family and then takes the brunt, and he's like, so I assume this is not like normal for you guys? And they're like, no, man, we don't shoot ourselves with our own machines. Come
Why
on.
did you bring this horrible thing that ruined our
Now-
Yeah,
building?
thanks for
No,
the drama,
it-
jackass.
Excuse me, I do think it's fair for him to ask that because you were just trying to crush your friend.
We were testing his power levels and comparing them to the fire guy.
Oh, okay. That's totally
Sure.
sensible.
All right.
You're not a genius. You don't know.
Oh,
You
I'm gonna
could
go
never
talk.
understand.
I'm gonna go talk to that guy who was yelling about you.
Don't team up with Doom. You already met Doom in Spider-Man Superman 2. Remember when he teamed up with the
Yes.
Parasite? That horrible crossover?
Yes.
That's a really self-indulgent crossover. That's like Superman, Spider-Man, Hulk, Wonder Woman, Doom,
Yep.
and also Parasite's there. Because Jim Shooter invented Parasite when he was working at DC.
Gotcha.
So Superman like shatters a machine that's like threatening to destroy them, and then Ben picks up the whole thing, and he's like, ah. And then another sentient device shows up, and it just starts looking at everybody, and then it eventually blasts Superman and envelops him in this kind of like glowy aura, and the computer system starts like talking to the Fantastic Four as Superman's getting blasted, and Reed reasons that the orb that blasted Superman came from Galactus. And he's like, why would Galactus make my computer try to shoot me and my family? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And the computer goes, oh, I'll explain that to you, Dr. Richards, and then starts forming his body because, of course, it's Cyborg Superman.
That is not where I saw this going.
I saw the robot legs, and I'm like, oh no.
I didn't see the robot legs. It's just based on before when you were talking about he had like long hair and stuff, and I was like, it's not Lobo, is it?
That would be great. I would love to see Lobo tool around the Marvel Universe for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, just Lobo with the Fantastic Four.
Oh.
Like Johnny's like, all right.
This guy seems kind of cool. Yeah, Johnny tripping over himself trying to make Lobo think he's cool.
Yeah,
He's such a cool guy.
Lobo like clearly trying to hit on Sue, and she's like, get away from me.
She's like, boom.
Sounds like
Yeah.
you guys are jealous of Lobo.
Yeah. So anyway, it's Hank Henshaw. This is perfect because while
Yeah.
Cyborg Superman is bullshit and appears in seemingly every Dan Jurgens Superman story after he's created and dies in them, Hank Henshaw is Reed Richards. Hank Henshaw's origins are that he is a joke on the Fantastic Four. Hank Henshaw and his 3 friends
Right.
got powers, but those powers gave them cancer and they died. And Hank dumped his consciousness into a thing. And he's angry and resentful that he lost his friends and body.
Right.
And so
I'd forgotten.
I'm like, oh my God, Reed Richards gets to meet a parody of himself.
Which he'll never see.
Evil parody of himself.
Which also he'll never understand because even though he was already that, now he's this. Like, it would be like if Reed Richards met the Maker or something.
Right. He's like, that's not me.
It would actually make more sense if the Maker met Cyborg Superman. Where it's like, oh, and Reed Richards went bad and then turned into something completely unrecognizable.
Huh.
Yeah. Well, that's nothing like me, though.
Right. Yeah, they would meet and go, huh, and then just go in opposite directions.
Yeah.
Oof, okay.
The big thing that zapped Superman, it also like gobbled him up and put him in the orb, and then he is infused with the power cosmic because Galactus had always figured that the being within the pod that fired from Krypton would be of use to him. And now the pod has come here and found him. He's ready to make him his herald. And so Superman becomes Galactus' herald,
What does
who
that have to-
unfortunately doesn't have a fun, cool Marvel name, but nevertheless, Superman is now the most powerful being in the universe. Save Galactus, I guess, because he can bestow power cosmic. But whatever, Superman now is the power cosmic, and he's completely mind-wiped, and so he's a herald of Galactus.
Where does Hank Henshaw fit into that?
Well, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd
Hank
like
Henshaw
to hear this.
Because
is
Galactus
aware.
had him, right? He had the shard, and he sent the shard.
Yes, Galactus sent the shard.
And Hank Henshaw was in that shard.
No.
No?
Hank Henshaw was on a satellite and saw the shard and then intercepted the
He was
shard.
standing. He's the one on the satellite.
He's the one on the
That's right,
satellite.
That's right.
So he
okay.
intercepted the shard.
So wait,
and then
what is the
piggybacked
shard,
on it.
though?
The shard is a communications device that came from Krypton that Jor-El fired.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah.
And Hank Henshaw piggybacked on that
Okay.
and then went to the Marvel Universe because he too heard about Galactus and was like, yeah, that Herald thing, I want in.
Okay.
I want the power cosmic and to live in the Marvel Universe and just tool around destroying planets. I'm down, especially because if I'm cool enough, I'll promptly break with Galactus and be my own character again. So that's Hank Henshaw's brilliant scheme. But Galactus is like, I don't need a pale imitation of Superman and also a weird parody of Reed Richards. I want Superman. And so Superman is now the Herald, and then Galactus is like, yoink, and then he goes to wherever Galactus is. And so the Fantastic Four are left with Cyborg Superman.
They're like, cool. Oh, also our base is destroyed. Thank you.
Yep. Well, just a big part of it. They're like on a whole compound. You know?
Oh, sure.
Wow. This is a big problem.
Yeah, it is a big problem. And the Fantastic Four are like, uh-oh. We don't need this.
They're like, none of this is
Oh,
our
sure, it's
fault.
Right.
This just happened to
Superman
us.
just shows up and then
And then
F's up
ruins
everything.
everything.
Yes.
I guess call the sentry.
He doesn't exist yet. Or always did, but hasn't yet.
Yeah.
They're in the period where they forgot who he is.
They're like, who?
But also he hasn't been invented. The Fantastic Four are like, all right, what are we going to do here? So Hank Henshaw, Cyborg Superman, now called Cyborg, which is redundant because there's also a Teen Titans member who's named Cyborg.
That's
but
confusing.
he's also less popular, so who cares? At this point.
At this point, yeah, he's not what
not
he
a
is
Justice
now.
Leaguer yet.
Yeah.
And then not anymore. But yeah, anyway, so Cyborg Superman is like, man, I used to blow up like cities and stuff, but I want to blow up like planets and stuff. Like that's what I'm all about.
Uh-huh.
You know, I blew up Coast City
Like that
one time,
Galactus
and I'm
guy.
like, dude, like get over. That was high school, man. That was like years ago. And the thing is like, whoa, I'm sorry. Did you just say you blew up a city? This guy's a villain. We're not gonna team up with this guy. And
Yeah.
so he's like, listen, I know where Galactus is going because I can track the crystal that I co-opted that Superman still carries. And so you need to work with me in order to find Galactus and stop Superman. And I want you to, because I want to switch with Superman. And the Fantastic Four are like, nah, fine. Because, like, look, we've beaten Galactus heralds all the time. So,
Right.
you know, oh no. You're clearly less powerful than Superman. So, like, we could easily defeat you.
Right.
Oh, did Reed go?
Reed tried to stop Superman from being taken, and he ended up getting teleported with Superman.
Okay.
So Reed
Oh,
is
so it's
with
the Fantastic
Superman.
Three.
No, Fantastic Four with Hank Henshaw in Reed's Plays.
Okay. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Reed is on Galactus' ship. Now, this would be amazing because Reed has not only been on Galactus' ship before, but he also is aware of what is on the ship that is used to stop Galactus. It never comes up. It isn't even mentioned.
Really?
The nullifier does not play into the story, which I think would be amazing because I would love to see Superman go, I'm sorry, you have a what?
I'm gonna need that.
Yeah, I'm going to take that.
I can't let you have that.
You know, let me see that. Crush.
It only nullifies my universe. Maybe.
Okay, but what if I'm in my universe when it's pushed? Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's not even mine. I didn't make it.
Well, maybe we should do some tests on it, see which is more powerful.
Yeah, we'll just push both of them in the same universe. I'll make a duplicate, and then we'll push them both at the same time in our universe. Maybe I'll make another universe.
Okay, on 3.
1, 2, 3. Push amalgam. Damn it. So Reed is basically written out of the story. Like, he tries to convince Superman to just fight his programming, which he should know is impossible because there's no sexy lady here to tempt him away from being a herald.
Do you mean Shalabal?
Shalabal or Lois Lane.
Or Lana Lang or
Or
Lori?
Lori. Superman does end up saying Lois's name because Reed does eventually get to him. And Reed's like, Lois! Lois!
Yeah,
That's right. What about
sure,
Lois?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, whoever.
I don't care.
But that's as far as it goes. And then Reed is then put into a seamless glass box. And we don't see him until more or less the end of the story. The Galactus plot is Superman is a herald of Galactus. And Galactus is like, well, I'm hungry, so get out there and get me a planet.
Get Herald in.
And he goes, and then he finds him a planet. And Reed's like, don't! This is the thing I didn't want to have happen. And then they get there, and they find a planet, and Galactus eats the shit out of it. And what happens is, there's actually a moment where Galactus goes, did you... Let me ask you a question here. When you found this planet, did you deliberately pick it because it didn't have life on it? And Herald Superman is like, no, it's just the nearest one. And Galactus is like, nice, good. That's the last thing I need. It's like the last 6 of these guys. We're like, oh no.
They all had an agenda.
And what happens is the planet that they find is too new, so it doesn't have enough life energy. And so Galactus is like, that's fine, but I need another one. Preferably with some people.
Okay, this is your first planet, so I'm gonna let slide.
Yeah.
But there's gotta be something of value on the planet.
Yes.
Maybe I wasn't full. That one's on me.
That one is on me.
I didn't
I
really
didn't give you
explain
the
the
whole-
job
yeah.
properly.
I didn't give you the training, but
But the next one.
it needs to be old and teeming.
I did put on your resume other duties as assigned, and
This is
yeah.
one of them. So get to work.
Yeah. I'm just saying, there's no existential horror if there's no one to witness it happening.
and that's really what I feed on.
That is the horror is
Yeah.
really the point
What's
of
the
it.
point of a guy eating a planet? It could be solar winds just destroying the life on the surface. That's not fun. It's like, whoa, it's fun now?
Yeah.
Actually, I think there's a moment within...
Well, if you enjoy your job, you
You
Never
never work a
did.
day in your life.
I think there's a moment where Superman is talking to Reed about Galactus, and he's just like, yeah, Galactus, yeah, and he explains him, and Superman's like, I'm sorry, it sounds like you admire him or something, and he's like, no.
No.
No,
I mean,
it's
he is
just
a
more like-
god.
It's just like he's an elemental force in the universe, and so I kind of respect him, and he's like, that's fucked up.
and he's ruthlessly efficient, and I wish I could be
Yeah.
that efficient.
Yeah.
I'm only 96% efficient. He's 100% efficient.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm just saying I wish I could get that last
Well, not
4%.
100% because of that one time when
that's
he
true.
did not eat this planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, the other thing is that, maybe the universe needs to have some of these planets cleaned up. It's like life and
Yeah.
death and all that, and all that philosophical crap.
right. Listen, we covered this in the Trial of Galactus. He's like, I've already been through this, all right?
Yeah. Who are you, Superman, to say
Yeah.
that he shouldn't be able
You're
to
not even around
exist?
here.
Do you stop lions from eating gazelles?
But they're so pretty.
I was like,
So-
all right.
Okay, I'm gonna get the fuck.
This world sucks.
Not wrong. but you're also a hypocrite. So
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna form a group of really smart people on this earth and to deal with people like you that we don't think should be here, sent you to space.
Bitch,
yeah.
I come from space.
Yeah, well, good. You'll enjoy going back.
Yeah,
to
you'll enjoy it. Let me get my wizard.
I'll just fly back.
Get my wizard, and he'll punch you in the face.
Yeah, Doc could probably just punch him in the nuts.
Yeah. And
Wooga!
He's like,
Magic!
It's like I never get to do this.
Alakazam. Wong trained me. I know how to kick ass.
Yeah.
So the Fantastic Three and Hank Henshaw are like, all right, let's go into space, and we'll save Reed, and we'll stop Superman, and we'll deal with you. And so they're going to leave Franklin back at base.
yeah.
And of course they do. Don't worry, he's babysat by another expatriate from another reality. Hank Henshaw explains, like, oh, by the way, while I was tooling around your computers, I saw, like, I'm kind of a parody of Reed Richards. That's kind of fucked up. Anyway, moving on. And I'm like, fair enough.
It's interesting that Superman is gold and they didn't lean into like blue.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the idea of him being,
Well, some of the heralds are gold, aren't they?
yeah, Nova's gold.
No, but,
Yeah, but they're just different. They're different colors often.
Yeah, they are, yeah. I love this also because Sue just takes over the book. She's like, okay, so my son is taken care of. Hey, Hank, get the fuck out of my chair. He's like, fair enough, Mrs. Richards. Okay.
You're not even from around here.
Yeah.
You don't get to sit in the captain's chair.
That's right.
She uses her mom voice.
She does. Out of the pilot seat, Henshaw, she actually says that it's Ben's seat.
Oh.
I don't fly with anybody but Ben. He's
Okay.
like, whatever you say, Mrs. Richards, after all, you are in command. And I'm like, I'll drop the sarcastic tone too, sir.
Do you feel it in command?
You know, Hank, it's a tone like that. I'm not angry with you. I am just disappointed.
No.
Also, I'll put a force field around your face and suffocate you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay, I'm not even alive.
I'm a robot.
I'm a clone of myself 10 times over.
All right, I'll make a little force field inside of where your processor is, and
And
I'll
then just
I mean, the things did not end well for Hank Henshaw. So the Fantastic Four intercept Superman and Galactus while he's eating the devoid of life planet. And they're like, ah, shit. So they try to stop him, and Galactus is like, what are you guys doing?
you don't usually try to stop
Right,
me.
like we have a thing
I've been
going.
doing this
Like,
for a
what's
while.
going on?
I've been eating plans left and right.
Yeah. He's just
Why
like,
now?
Stop it. So he sends Superman to go deal with them. And, you know, the Fantastic Four try their best to stop Superman, who's imbued with the power cosmic. There's no friggin' way they can stop him now.
Right.
Cyborg Superman like Galactus. Hey.
He does that later. Right now, he's like, he tells the team, he's like, we have to leave. This planet is gonna just crumble under our feet. We okay, this is the L, but
Right.
we're gonna live to fight another day. Let's get out of here. That's the old villain strategy. We gotta
Right.
cut and run. And they're like, we're not gonna do that. And Sue's like, it's over. Let's go. We lost the battle, not the war. Get in the ship. I'm like, wow, I kind of love Dan Jurgens' version of Sue.
Yeah. Take a charge.
Yeah.
Being practical.
Right?
But what is the plan, though?
We're just
'Cause you-
gonna try harder later, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
So they destroy the planet. Everyone's kind of sad, and something deep within Superman is like, "Oh fuck! Like this feels really bad for me for some reason.
Right. Like, I feel like I specifically should have a
Not be
problem with
destroying
this.
planets." And even though it's not a planet of life, it will never be.
Right. I destroyed the potential.
Yes. So then he goes to Galactus. And Galactus is like, yeah, get me a bigger, nicer, juicier planet next time. And Reed's like, didn't even, oh shit. Like, I'm not used to losing this bad. Except for that time that I was killed by Dr. Doom and then went through time. But never mind that. I also am just really disheartened by this experience. Oh, and Franklin makes Sue take his Superman action figure with her. You know, for luck or hope or some shit.
Yeah.
So she carries that
Kid's
around.
stupid, so I don't
That stupid kid, I don't know. He's facilitating the crossover in the first place. Ben's really disappointed in himself for not stopping, a planet-eating god.
Yeah. Oh, geez, Ben. Really
And,
slacking off.
You're right.
Yeah, what were you gonna do, Ben?
Right.
I thought I'd punch him in the face.
Well, also, I never got to say it's clobbering time.
And we never proved.
What are you gonna clobber? There's nothing to clobber here.
Like his big toe.
Yeah, we never proved who was stronger, me or Johnny. I'm just saying.
I'm just
Right.
saying. So they go to the other planet. There's other people there. They're all like, "Oh God!" Eli's like, "Yeah, that's better."
There, now we're talking.
Now it's happening. So Superman is like, "Hey, I'm sorry, just real quick, but like, there's people on this planet. What happens to them?"
Well, you saw the last planet, right?
And he's like,
What would have happened
he's like, I don't
to
care.
people if they'd been on that planet?
Right. He's like, oh, whatever happened to that planet would happen to those people. I don't care. Why are we having this conversation? Most of my heralds don't give me this much lip. Gotta say.
those. I'm sorry. What are we talking about? Those animals? Those little specks?
The dirt.
The ants?
They're the people.
I don't see that.
I don't know what you mean.
But Superman's like,
Why are you asking about those ones and not the other ones that like swim around in the water? Or the ones that fly in the sky? Like, I don't know. It's very arbitrary, your concern.
It's not!
Just saying, it's all the same to me.
Yeah. Superman is like, do you really see yourself above it? And he's like, it's not the question of above. I need to eat, and so here we are.
Yeah.
Like,
You didn't complain about those rocks. I ate the rocks too.
Yeah.
Like,
But admittedly, yes, I'm bigger than them. So yes, I am above.
yeah.
I don't see it that way. I don't care about that.
It's
I
my
don't
right.
have modesty. All right, I look at my outfit. Like I come here, I eat, and then I leave.
I'm an eldritch being. I don't care about anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm existential horror manifest.
In a big purple suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also,
I'm like if the Grimace were the eldritch Lovecraftian being of the McDonald's universe.
How dare you? Galactus is way cooler than the Grimace.
well, also, he's supposed to look different for each.
That's a later invention, but also,
okay.
like, sure. I'm down for that. I like that idea. So the Fantastic Four pop out of their spaceship. They're like, all right, I'm going to go better this time. But what we are also sad about is the idea that if we have to stop Galactus, we may have to stop Superman as well. Oh, no. And
Yeah,
so,
that'll be easy.
yeah. So Sue sends like a disc of invisibility for Thing to ride. So Thing's like, all right, I'm going to go take out Superman.
Sure you are.
So he goes to Superman. He's like, all right, it's and then Superman just backhands him through Galactus' ship. They just, bam, just gone.
Nice.
And Superman is so upset by the destruction of a world with people on it, and of course what he did before, that it snaps him out of his herald fog, and so he attacks Galactus. And Galactus goes, another betrayal. Like this, I'm starting to rethink this whole herald system.
Do I even need a herald?
Like the robot thing seemed to work.
Yeah.
Like the probes.
Why
like,
not a
just-
robot?
Had nothing.
Robots
to ask
have
him.
no morals.
Yeah.
They'll kill anything
And that's
without
why it's like,
question.
get Hank, get Henshaw.
Right?
Yeah, but he's based on a guy.
Yeah, but there's a guy in there.
Yeah. Plus, he has his own.
Yeah, and you got to be careful too, because what if you get like a Wally?
Yeah. Aw.
You can't have that.
No.
You can't find one of those.
No.
Yeah, because then he will be
He'll
all like,
fall in love
"Oh."
or something.
No, maybe Galactus, you just need to do your own damn work.
Yeah.
Do you ever think
Yeah.
about that?
It's hard, especially when my power levels go down.
Not how it works.
Oh, okay.
I have a herald. I just do.
Yeah, I just do. This is one of the things I do.
Just like I eat. I eat and I have a herald. There's like two things about me.
Yeah.
This is the tragedy of Galactus.
If I don't have a herald, I'm half of what I
These
am.
are the things that make Galactus
It's
Galactus.
like I get a herald and they always betray me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Galactus blasts Superman. He's like, so be it.
Okay, well,
He's
then
kind
you're
of
dead.
bummed. I really appreciate it. He's like, oh, son of a bitch. Like, even the ones in the other universe don't work out for me. Meanwhile, they're like, all right, Superman's on our team. Yay! And Hank Shinshaw's like, oh, that's great for me. Another opening in the firm. Meanwhile, Thing is still flying from the back end, and he smashes into Mr. Fantastic's prison.
Oh, that's convenient.
Yes. Or it isn't.
Oh, Superman sent him there.
Yeah. So yeah, somehow Superman must have like looked through Galactus' shit. Well, he knew where Reed was.
Right, 'cause
So
he'd been
maybe,
there.
but yeah, someone muses about how Superman may have unconsciously or consciously
Right.
directed the Thing in that. Because I was like, why would he bother? He betrays Galactus in the next panel.
Right.
Like, why all the deception?
Right.
Why doesn't he just fastball special him through the Galactus ship? Why didn't he shoot a hole in Galactus ship with his fucking heat vision or power cosmic vision? I don't understand.
Because you got to give something for Ben to do. You can't just punch Galactus.
Yeah.
No, but he can punch Hank, and that'll be fun. So Johnny and Sue are left to try and stop Galactus, which of course is impossible. But Galactus needs to like put this machine together in order to complete the process.
Right.
So
he has to build a great machine.
That's right.
That's
yeah.
his thing, yeah.
And so Sue puts an invisible barrier between us. So he's like, "What the fuck? This thing's not connecting. Doesn't make any sense."
So it's like anytime you're trying to plug in a USB.
Yeah, he's just
Yeah.
trying to plug it in. He's like
Flipping it
bumping
around.
over.
I won't go
That's
either
working.
way. Come on.
Yeah. So Galactus had blasted Superman, and he fell through the, devastation that he had already wrought. And while he's in the ground, he sees a discarded Superman action figure dropped by Sue in haste, and that reminds him who he is, even though he already remembers.
He's like, boy,
Well,
that
he'll
guy
half
looks
remember it.
cool.
Wow, I want to look like that. Meanwhile, Hank ditches the Fantastic Four and starts skulking through Galactus' ship looking for shit. And Reed's like, I do not need that guy finding the Ultimate Nullifier. Not that he is actually looking for that, but it's like, I don't even know, tap into the computer and find out it exists.
Right.
So I'm going to beat his ass. And so you're like, oh man, 2 Reed Richards fighting each other. That's
Yay.
fun. Even though one doesn't stretch, the other one's a robot, but whatever. So Hank like shoots Reed with like a ray that he picked up from the computer, like the schematics of which he emulates with his own robot body.
Sure.
So he believes he's defeated Reed, and then Ben shows up and like taps him on the shoulder and says, I haven't said this once in the whole book. It's clobbering time, and then punches him through the wall of Galactus' ship. Meanwhile, Superman is just so taken by his own visage that he just turns back into Superman.
Oh, he just no more cosmic power.
I assume that when Galactus blasts him with his eye rays, he's also taking the power cosmic from him.
Oh.
But whatever, he just transforms back. It's like room for one more, and so you got the Fantastic Four and Superman all teaming up and going to fight Galactus. And Galactus is like, stop.
Man, if Superman hadn't been with me, you wouldn't have even known I was going to eat this planet.
Yes.
Like, I would have still eaten this planet.
No, but you wouldn't have known this planet existed.
You wouldn't
Superman
have
found it for you.
Yeah, so you wouldn't have a problem. So just leave. It was
like-
gonna happen no matter what.
But
Yes.
that means that like that's indicating the fact that it's like the Fantastic Four are guilty by like
Yes.
lack of action.
By the fact
Yeah.
that they allow Galactus to do this
That's what
all
the trial of
time.
Galactus was all about, where they're like, you didn't let him die.
Right.
You're responsible now.
Yeah.
So,
and they're just
Reed-
kind of like, whatever.
they're like, no!
Look, if I'm there when he's destroying a planet,
stop
I will
him.
try to stop it.
But I can't stop him all the time.
Yeah, I got shit to do.
Yeah. So Superman helps the Fantastic Four muck around with Galactus's circuitry. Like there's these really big cables that are super heavy.
Sure.
They need Superman to
They
move
need
them around and
Superman
stuff.
to move around because, and that actually comes up because when what happens, Galactus is like, there's no way you could have done that. Those cables are like super heavy. What they do is
Right.
they end up like reversing the polarity of Galactus's machine. So instead of drawing power from the planet, he's drawing power from himself. So he's like sucking his own power out.
Oh.
And they're like, we're going to let you kill yourself unless you knock it off and leave this planet.
But he
and
wouldn't
Earth
be
also
killing
alone.
himself, wouldn't he just be like sustaining himself off of his own? It'd be like
No,
drinking
it's-
your own pee in order to stay hydrated.
Yeah, that's not good for you.
But you can do it for a
You
while.
could do it, but it will kill you. They make Sue drop the thing. He tries to suck it, and it doesn't work out.
Oh, he sucks it.
Their plan is to order him, blackmail him
Yes.
into
They always blackmail him.
saving this planet.
Yes.
He's just gonna eat
No.
another one.
They're like, you have to make another deal. You'll only eat uninhabited planets.
Haven't they made that deal with him like multiple previous times?
At least
But
one
aren't
more.
you? But then you're deciding that like there can be no more civilizations then that could crop up from these planets that are.
That's true.
It beats the alternative.
Right. It's
Why-
like a compromise.
Reed, you're so smart. Why don't you like create some like endless energy source?
Or put him in a pocket dimension where there's like planets that just pop up again. I don't know. Yeah, they could do that. Then you wouldn't get Galactus in stories
I'm
anymore.
just saying, you're over there wasting time trying to figure out if Reed or
We're in haste. We don't
if
have
Johnny
time.
and Ben are fucking like strong enough, and you're like, you couldn't just be like, you know what I should probably be doing?
I should solve the
I'd
Galactus.
should
probably
probably solve the
permanently
Galactus
solve the
problem.
Galactus problem, save trillions of lives.
Yeah, that'd
or
be nice.
I could find out once and for all
Who is the
who's stronger.
strongest?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a stand-up guy,
Yeah,
Reed.
you had to pull that thread. You had to.
Yeah.
We
So,
always do.
and so Galactus acquiesces. He's like, yeah, my word is my bond. Okay, I'm in.
fine.
And Superman's like, excuse me. There's also the little matter of you destroying Krypton, you piece of shit. And Galactus is like, I didn't do that.
It's like, what?
What? And Superman's like, what do you mean what? And Galactus is like, I went to Krypton to eat it. I definitely, in canon, went to the DC universe. But when I got there, it was
already
already
destroyed.
wrecked.
I do summer in the
Into
DC
DC
universe.
universe.
I just don't eat there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Superman's like, well, what the fuck? And Hank's like, yeah, that was me. I grabbed your little thing and I reworked it so that Jor-El said that. So that you would go find Galactus.
What did it say before?
It just said, like, oh, by the way, don't forget to pack clean underwear. Or whatever. I don't know, like, who cares?
Hey, don't put on a big dumb blue suit.
You know what's probably what?
Like, don't
Suit is
become-
iconic. You know
No,
what
I
it
meant the
was?
electric blue one.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
put on
yeah.
that electricity. If you ever get electricity powers,
Don't.
just don't.
Don't.
Just don't do
Just
it.
don't.
Yeah, just avoid that.
Put yourself in a
happening.
fucking Kryptonian healing coma and wait until it's over.
You'll be better for it, all
All
right?
the better for
So-
it all word out.
So
Oh, and also Rogolzar, that's not a real thing. Someone's going to try to tell you
Someone's
that.
gonna try to tell you
that
Rogolzar's
doesn't
fake.
actually happen. So Hank Henshaw took a message from Superman's dad and erased
and
it.
he taped over
He taped over it.
it, right? It's like,
He's like, oh, no, that was just, that
What was on
like,
it?
your cousin is trapped in a hurtling comet. You gotta help her.
those are just the final, like, loving thoughts of your parents
Yeah.
right before they.
Right?
Yeah.
And instead, I taped over it and made them say that someone murdered them. So that you would go find them and
Okay,
I could
well,
steal his shit.
Just tell me what they did say.
I don't know. I didn't listen.
Oh God! It's just lost forever.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just, yeah.
No, don't worry
Yeah.
about that. Don't need to reference that again
No.
ever.
So then Hank flies up to Galactus and he's like, hey, listen, I am really cool and I'm totally down to be your herald. Like, make me perfect.
I know this didn't go so well for you, but I did try.
Yeah, please, bless me with cosmic power, make me perfect. And Galactus is like, all right, burp, and turns him into a domino.
A domino.
Well, like a little,
like just a little disc or,
Yep.
or rectangle.
a flawless alloy condensed into a form of simple perfection, probably without consciousness. And Superman,
Probably.
Yeah.
If he did, though, it would be a waking nightmare.
which of course he deserves. And Superman's like, all right, and I guess I'll take that with me or leave it here. I don't care. Either way. And it's like, why did you turn him into a cute? Just vaporize him. I'll make you perfectly dead. How about that? Like, just whatever. Who
Right.
cares? And so Hank Henshaw dies or doesn't or who cares? Whatever.
Converted into a
Into a perfect domino. And Superman like tucks it away. And then they go back to their endlessly iconic base of Pier 4. And they find Franklin. And Franklin's like, hey, how'd it go? Did Superman kick ass and take names? And they're like, yeah. And Superman's like, hey, little tyke, thanks for making your mom carry this action figure. It reminded me that I was Superman and then helped me save the day at the end. And how about this? And he gives him his cape and then goes back to the DC universe.
Oh, that's
So-
fun.
Somewhere in the Marvel universe, Superman's cape is hanging around the Fantastic Four's headquarters.
That would be fun if they put that in maybe in the new crossover. If there was
Yeah.
like the panel where you see like
It's in there.
his bedroom or something he's got hanging up.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. So they watch him fly away, and he's like, that's that. And I'm like, yeah, I guess that is. So they do that, and you're like, classic. Listen, it does exactly, like, if it's going to be the Fantastic Four, you got to put Galactus in there. If you're going to put Galactus, you got to have meet Krypton. If you can't because it's not canon, you make it a lie. Who would lie? Probably not Brainiac because he's a robot. So I guess Cyborg Superman, also I invented him.
He is a robot though. He's a cyborg.
Yeah, no, but he also is like an asshole in there. Brainiac is
He's
all
an asshole
robot.
robot. Yeah.
You know, so like Metallo. Metallo is also a guy.
Have they
Right.
done? Oh, right, wait. We did the other one where it was Superman and Spider-Man, and that was Doom and
The Parasite.
the Parasite.
Parasite.
Why isn't it Doom and Lex Luthor?
Yeah, I don't know.
Just two like egomaniacs?
Yeah, no. They did Doom and Dr. Octopus in the first Superman Spider-Man crossover. And Doc Ock is an egomaniac, but is nowhere near as smart as Lex.
Lex has a big building in the shape of an L.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have 4 mechanical arms both on my spine.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, but my name is Otto Octavius, and that happened before I got them.
And
so,
Doom
you know.
has like Doom bots. I mean, I feel like Lex would be like,
Yeah, no.
that's
Lex
not a,
bots.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Right?
A
And
Lex bot in every home.
And the Lex bots could also be me, and that way any story that I'm in that I don't really agree with or doesn't really work out later can always have been a Lex bot.
Right. That's perfect.
It's kind of brilliant. I'm okay with that.
Or cheap.
Yes.
Or
Well-
flimsy.
Well, true. Seemingly,
to
Perhaps.
to the
some.
untrained eye. I would also take, like Ultron and Brainiac or Metallo or somebody. That'd be
Do
fun.
they fight Ultron? Does Fantastic Four fight Ultron?
No, I'm just saying if
Oh.
you want to do more Marvel DC crossovers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that should be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was...
That was something that happened.
Galactus is hard.
Yeah, I mean, but
To
otherwise, what are you
do.
gonna do? It's the Fantastic Four and Superman. Now that said, they also did around this exact same time Superman and the Silver Surfer, which of course, if you're gonna do that, you also have to do Galactus.
Galactus getting a lot of exposure.
But they don't, because I think they're like, oh, we're already doing Galactus and the Fantastic Four crossover.
Right.
So what else are you gonna do?
Well,
and
Silver
it's like,
Surfer's not even Galactus' herald right now, so why would Galactus even be in it?
right? It's like because then they could mirror each other. That's why.
because
But-
they're forever inextricably linked.
Yeah. And it's like, no. Superman has to fight the Impossible Man, which we'll talk about another time.
Now, why did you decide to do that? Oh, you said
Because we're
movies.
getting
The summer.
Because
Right.
Superman and Fantastic Four are going to be sharing the screen month.
Yeah. They might be in the same theater at the same time
Yes.
for like a week or two.
Right? Yeah. No, they'll.
I don't know how far
there's
separate
2 weeks
are
between
they?
each other.
Oh, 2 weeks. Oh yeah, so for a few weeks.
They were
there'll be
originally going to come
overlap.
out in the same week, and then someone moved. I
Yeah.
believe it was Marvel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a classic crossover. I love the oversized edition. I don't own it, but and of course it's not displayed properly because it's an omnibus, which has to be the same size. So it is actually kind of like cropped a little bit. It's a shame.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I guess.
I love Dan Jorgen's art. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, the art's
I think
fun.
it really
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
I like him depicting the Fantastic Four. I think his thing is endlessly iconic. It's great.
It is. This is so unnecessary though. This opening.
Yes.
Yeah.
They could be doing literally anything else.
But
Yeah.
it needs to be something that can be immediately dispatched. Like it needs to be something that they can
Yeah.
be like, this is a waste of all of our time.
Right.
I could have. Yes.
What do the Fantastic Four even do in their building?
What are they doing on their spare
they
time?
Reed,
screw
shouldn't
around.
Reed be fixing like everything,
Well, they
like
need-
solving all the problems?
Yeah, well, that's what the Council of Reeds is for. But he also has like we need all the characters in the same room at the same time.
Okay, so-
If they were like
Right.
on R&R, Johnny be banging somebody.
Yeah,
thing
it'd
would
be so complicated
busy.
to get them all together. I need them already
to
to be
fire
in
a
the
thing
same
in the
place.
sky.
They could just be
I get it.
training.
They don't really
They don't need to
do
train.
that. Yeah,
Just-
I
Yeah,
don't
they're
think
not-
I've ever seen them
Yeah, they're not
training.
the X-Men.
They could be having movie night.
No, that'd be fun. And Superman's like, ha. Maybe they're watching Superman. I don't know.
Well, but then that wouldn't be all about Reed Richards.
Well, I'll tell you one
I feel
thing
like
that.
everything they do
Yes.
is
Is
instantiated
Reed-centric?
by him. Yes.
Or Ben. It's
Now we
usually
will
Ben.
test everyone's powers.
All right.
Oh, okay. Because I was kind of hoping that we could like go to the mall or something.
I have that penciled in for 2 weeks from now.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we will go to my stores that I want to see. And maybe a toy store for little Franklin if there's time. If there's time.
There always will be
Which-
though, because Franklin's a god.
He'll make time.
Why don't we just make a pocket dimension where I could go to the mall right now?
Because I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Sue.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so you could pick up this story and all of them in this Handy Dandy Omnibus, which is in the comments down below, which I would highly recommend because it's available and it might not be one day. So, you know.
You better watch out because
might
Sal
take it
keep
away.
buying them.
How dare you? The other thing is, you can get the omnibus for about the same price as you can get a copy of Superman and the Fantastic Four.
Really?
What?
Because,
Oh,
you
because
know,
they're super rare apparently.
they're rare or something. They weren't when they came out in 1999
Well,
because it was 1999. They were just like churn out everything.
but it was oversized, right? It
was
So maybe it
oversized.
was
Slightly
particularly
less.
easy for people's moms to throw them away. Like this one won't even fit in the box.
no
it's
one's
trash.
moms were throwing comic books away in 99 because
Not
they were all told that they
99.
were gonna.
No,
you know,
in
appreciate.
2005.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
That's fair.
You haven't even opened this book in 3 years.
I'm not gonna open it ever in my
It
life.
won't
What are you
fit in the
talking
box
about?
with the other ones. It's going in the trash.
I can't fit it in. I gotta fold it. I'm not gonna do that. There you go. We'll see you guys next time with another episode of Sal.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Tiffany.
Reading and check out those movies. I guess they don't need my help. I don't know why I'm shilling for them, but I'm gonna go see them. I hope it's like a Barbenheimer situation. I want to see the
Well,
Fantastic Superman.
I'm kind of annoyed that Marvel moved or somebody moved because, like, no, you should have kept it the same because that probably would have generated even more hype.
agree.
It would have been Barbenheimer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would have been cute to see James Gunn and Kevin Feige being like, ho ho, you know?
All right,
Yeah.
two things. One, I didn't even get to say my name before you said the end of the show. Two, it's obviously the Super 4.
Oh, the Super 4. I can't believe I don't have the copy, like the original copy. I'm so annoyed at myself.
Did you-
Because
do you
back then I was like,
remember-
lame.
I was gonna say, do you remember why you didn't buy
I
it?
didn't deliberately not buy it. By this point, I was not buying comic books.
Hmm.
Well, not regularly. I mean, I was getting Spawn.
Yeah, okay. Where does this rank
Oh, in
amongst the crossovers?
I think it's pretty good. I think it holds up. It's fun.
Where's that video where you do like a S through like D tier or whatever?
Of the crossovers? Yeah. That's a fine idea.
Where you're just like, all right, this one, well, I like this, but I hate this, so it's a solid B.
Yeah.
You should do that when they release
The next
the
one.
crossovers,
Yeah, the new
the
one.
new ones. You
Yeah.
should to celebrate.
Yeah. Also, are they gonna make a new omnibus with the new crossover
Well-
in it? They didn't put JLA Avengers in it.
Well,
In
they already
this?
printed
Yeah.
that.
No, they didn't. They did a they did make 5,000 copies.
Yep.
Wow.
Those are all up on eBay for $500,
Not
$300.
all of them.
No, mine's over there. I'm not putting it on eBay. I'm not a jerk.
How many do you have?
One.
Oh, I thought
They
you had
limited them one per store.
two. Oh, one per store?
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
No, it was
No,
one
it wasn't
per
one per
store,
store.
unless they were like a preferred retailer. Like Midtown Comics had 3.
Wow. That was the trade?
Yeah, that was the reprinted trade.
Right.
Did you ever have Elektra meet Wonder Woman?
No, but she did fight Catwoman.
Just saying, like, that just seems...
Nah.
I'm just
Catwoman,
thinking,
she-
like, especially now with, like,
No, it
Elektra
wasn't.
Daredevil
Yeah,
meeting
meeting
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Well, they can only do so many, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they stopped doing any of them.
Right.
So if they'd been doing it the whole time, you'd have
We'd have seen
gotten
them all.
Yeah.
It's, like, kind of insane that much exists. Like, that there is enough to fill
yeah,
that.
it's actually.
Yeah.
It's, like, kind of impressive.
I agree.
But this is over.
3 decades.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even still,
Yeah.
considering how hard it seems to be.
Right, and they're not all Batman and someone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They actually have.
Now there are 2 Batman Punishers, 2 Batman Spider-Mans, 2 Batman Daredevils.
I was going to say, but, like, it seems like, weirdly, a lot of them are Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's.
They're like, well, he's not doing anything.
Yeah.
Like, we killed him, and that's kind of the most exciting thing we've done for him.
Right.
Keep throwing him into some of these.
Yeah. And Batman and Hulk. So there's at least 7.
Batman and Hulk. That.
They're both named Bruce.
So is the shark from Jaws, but, like, he didn't show up.
We don't own any of it. Neither of us own that character.
There's 21
Crossovers?
crossovers in here.
Over 3 decades.
Yeah.
So that's what, 7 crossovers a decade?
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
It's not that many. But then there's some that aren't in here, right? You said
Well, JLA Avengers.
JLA Avengers.
That's the only one.
Oh, that's the only one.
But that's not counting the amalgam.
No.
Yeah, there's some amalgam.
Well, an
stuff.
amalgam, I think, also has Green Lantern, Silver Surfer in there because it's technically a prelude to the DC versus Marvel crossovers.